Yeah, the authority problem is the core problem, and it's a question of authorship, which really, if we boiled it down, we could say, am I a creation of a loving source, of a loving spirit, or can I create myself any way that I wish to be? And admittedly, in this world, a lot of times when I talk to people, they'll say things like, diversity is good. You know, that's one of the good things. Just like when you look at relationship counseling, compromise is good. And then you get to this thought system, and it's saying, well, there's a purity and there's a wholeness that literally transcends the compromise and transcends the diversity, the multiplicity, the pluralism. Uh, you know, sometimes you hear people talk about multi-dimensional reality, and yet the multi part kind of gives it away, that reality is just pure love. It's just oneness. So the authority problem is trying to give some kind of reality to the duality or to the multiplicity. And you could say that underneath that is still a wish to make oneself, to invent oneself, or to have the ability to reinvent, you know. And so what that ends up being is like a lot of spinning of wheels, you know, just trying and trying and trying again to try to find some perfection in form, when the perfection is pure spirit, that is more of a letting go of the investment in the forms and so forth. So it's really a great teaching. It's a great metaphysics. I think there's a lot of great non-duality pathways, but of course, with bringing the authority issue in, with bringing in this idea that God creates like God and spirit creates like spirit, and then when you try to come away and do something other than that, then that's really a question of trying to be your own author, to try to make something unlike that which God creates. So, I mean, I've always been fascinated, like, I've just met so many people and studied so many philosophies and done so much traveling that, you know, sometimes going into a crystal store or a New Age store and reading the lines, even create your own reality. And then even having people say, well, that's what the Course is teaching, create your own reality. And it's like, no, it's not really teaching that at all. It's teaching that Spirit, God, is the creator of reality, and that you can accept your reality exactly as it was created, but you can't make or create your own reality. And that's really, you know, it relates actually, John, your question relates to the very first question about, well, here I am, I've lost my job, I still have to earn a living, have to raise my children, and so on and so forth. And the world would say, well, yeah, you've got all these duties and responsibilities and so on and so forth. And I've never taught to like abdicate on those things, even if the ego set them up. The only way that you're going to be loosened from them is to be unwound from them by the spirit. You know, you can't just like be like the ostrich and put your head in the sand and just say, you know, I don't have a financial obligation. I don't have a this obligation or that, you know, and just pretend that it's not there, but to learn to tap in and to tune into the spirit, to be led in ways so that you have a transcendent experience where you realize that you are not bound or limited in any way. It was just these false identifications and this false attempt to make an identity unlike the God identity, unlike the identity that God created. So I do find that that's at the core of everything, and also it plays out in terms of control, because when I really started to get into the Course and practice it, there came a point where I just had a big smile on my face, and I went, this is just the long version of the Serenity Prayer. And that's all this is, you know. I just like, you know, 365 lessons and all 1,200 some odd pages, and this is just, you know, like they talk about long division, short division. This is like long version of the Serenity Prayer. But actually, it's extremely profound, the Serenity Prayer. You know, what do I have the power to change? What don't I have the power to change? And the wisdom to know the difference. And I was like, well, in the Course in Miracles terms, like the Holy Spirit is like the wisdom to know the difference. It's this great discerner in our mind that knows the difference between the real and the unreal. And it's just reminding us that we're innocent. We're not guilty. We've never done anything wrong, ever. We're just completely, purely innocent, and we always have been. And what a great message, you know, that's the wisdom. And then the thing about what can I change and what I can't change, well, it really comes down to the world was made as a distracted device to get lost in, you know, a world of complexity, a world of distraction, a world of many images. It was made that we would forget who we are. It was made as a way to keep us from remembering who we are. And so why would I think that I could change a distractive device? You know, if the whole thing was made to kind of get my attention and keep my attention where it was not helpful, you know, where it would be dissipated, where it would be wasted, then, you know, that was trying to change the world. And I do remember, you know, it's a huge text with the Course, but I do remember getting back further and further towards rules of decision, you know, really towards the back of the text. And I remember it just struck me very strongly when I finally read in the Course, you have no control over the world you made. And I was like, there it is. That's the Serenity Prayer. You know, when I keep trying to change the circumstances and keep tinkering with these projections and these images, it would be like going to a movie theater and having a reaction to the movie. You know, like I don't like that scene, or I don't like that character, or I don't like the way this movie's going, and going down and banging on the screen as if somehow, you know, it's like you could just go right up. People do talk to the screen, but I mean, this would be actually taking action, going up there and just whacking it and say, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. This is not right. You know, we would laugh because we would say, well, it's a projection. You're not going to do anything at all by banging on that screen. But how tempting it is when we're dealing with relationships, when we're dealing with job situations, when you, whatever, have invested money in the stock market and you're watching whatever the Dow Jones Industrial Average or whatever, you you know, you're all wrapped up in these highs and lows and ups and downs, and they don't really mean anything ultimately because they were made to distract us from seek within, find the kingdom of heaven within, that you have it inside. Not only that you don't even really have to like search for it, it's just like it's just who you are. It's our very state of being. So for me, that's the most important thing about the authority problem, is it is kind of a surrender moment, you know, where you can say, I have, through all my efforts of trying to do it, I still don't know. I don't know the way. But there is one who does. And for me, that's been cultivating that experience, has been my openness to follow guidance. First I had to have an awareness that there was a guidance there, and the Course is just, I see it just a pathway to coming in touch with that eternal guide. And call it whatever you will. You know, it doesn't, the words don't even matter what we call that guidance. You can call it intuition, you could call it higher power, Holy Spirit, you know, some people will call it Jesus or J or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just really tapping into that. And then when you do really tap into that, then nothing is the same. And curiously, you have such a contentment. You know, it's like you could watch the grass grow, and feel fulfilled. You know, it just takes it away from outcomes. Yeah. So it's beautiful. That's the way out of the authority problem, is to surrender. Yeah.